The history of Israel, or do we call it Palestine? The history of Palestine cannot be complete without mentioning people like Moshe Dayan. Moshe Dayan was famously known for his eye patch. Very many people were no, or maybe very many people had it, but him is the most known about it. Today, people who have mono eye, they usually put on glasses so that you don't notice. But Moshe Dayan used that system. It was famous with a lot of people, but if you talk about it, many people remember Moshe Dayan. In Kenya, we had a politician called Isaac Salat. His son is still famous today, called Nick Salat. He was mono-eyed and people nicknamed him Moshe Dayan. Moshe Dayan was born on 20th May 1915 at a place called Daganye in Palestine. You know, what we now call Israel, before independence, before 1948, it used to be called Palestine. He was born at a place called Daganye in Palestine on 20th May 1915. He was taught guerrilla fighting by Captain Odd Vintage. Captain Odd Vintage had started a special night patrol team to fight Arab rebels, and he used Jewish youths for that. And among the Jewish youths who were there was one Moshe Dayan. Later on, if you are a Kenyan, you remember Kina Dedan Kimathi and others, General China. These are fighters who fought for British, and when the Second World War ended, they formed Mau Mau. Now, Israelites youths who were trained to fight Arab rebels later started their own organization, which was called Hagania. So he was among the Hagania people, and he was jailed from 1939 to 1941. Later on, he joined the British Army and fought the Second World War. Later on, he came back, and there was a fight when Jews were fighting to establish a country of their own. There is a day then that he was commanding a platoon, and somewhere in Syria, there was a place he was commanding a platoon somewhere in Syria, and the people to relieve him were late to come. So he went to what we call in infantry. There's something in infantry called there is the guard room. Just next to the gate, there is usually this place where there are so many bags of cement. So he stood up and took out his binoculars and tried to scan the night to see whether the people who were to replace him had come. But there was somebody who was a sniper who shot him and he lost his eye. That was in Syria. But later he wanted to go back to the army, but they refused, but he insisted. And you know, for a country that, for people who are fighting to start their own country, like today, if you are to join your country's army, it will be a bit of a challenge. You find that those who are qualified, they are 10 times more than the vacancies that are there. But when the country is about to get independent, or a country has just gained its independence, they are not strict on the qualifications. So he stayed in the army for long and rose to be the army chief of staff between 1953 and 58. He's known to have fought the 1956 Sinai War. Later on, he joined politics, and he was the Minister for Agriculture under the first Prime Minister of Israel, who was called Ben Gurion. But then in 1967, during the uh, during the 1967 war and even 1973 war, both wars, uh, he was the Minister for Defense. Then later in 1977, he was the Minister for Foreign Affairs. And people of my age remember it was during this time when we had a Prime Minister who was called Menachem Begin, who signed a treaty with Anwar Sadat of Egypt. Anwar Sadat of Egypt, they signed a peace treaty which led to Anwar Sadat later being killed. During this treaty in Camp David, in Kenya we have a Camp David, Sagana State Lodge, yeah. That one is what I believe is Camp David of Kenya. So Camp David is a state lodge for the president of the USA. So in 1977, there was a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel, where Israel Prime Minister was Menachem Begin, and Moshe Dayan was Minister for Foreign at that time. Moshe Dayan left this world on 16th October 1981. Thank you.